This is the Royal Enfield Guerrilla 450, a motorcycle that I heavily misunderstood. But that was before I had kept it for 3 months. Now, I have a very different understanding of this motorcycle. The Guerrilla is leaving the autoX long-term fleet, so I thought I should summarize my thoughts and tell you what all I found out in my time with the Guerrilla 450 and what all should you be looking out for in case you are planning to buy this motorcycle. Now, if you're wondering why the bike is so dirty, well, that is because it's monsoon season, it's been raining, and, well, this bike is one that wants to get down and dirty, so it feels thematically appropriate. Let's start off with something simple and something that I expected and turned out to be true as well. This engine does not want to stay calm. It's a hooligan of a motor, and this entire bike just wants you to be on it all the time. And that can be a lot of fun if you're looking for a very engaging motorcycle. But on certain days when you're just coming back from office, you're tired, or you just want to lazily cruise on the highway, then that can be a little bit much. That eagerness can be a little bit annoying. Yes, this can do highway speeds easily, you can do triple-digit speeds, but it just doesn't have that low thrum that even the smaller Hunter 350 has when you're cruising at a constant speed. You do 100 kph with my weight at a little over 5000 rpm, and then you also feel a decent amount of vibrations coming from the foot pegs, from the handlebars. So it's not really a cruising motorcycle. You have a narrow power band where this bike feels the peppiest, and that's generally between 3.5 to 4,500 rpm. And if you're in that range, this bike is a whole lot of engagement, is a whole lot of fun. You can accelerate, and adding to that excitement is the brilliant exhaust sound, which just roars and roars and just begs you to push this motorcycle more, even when you get off the gas and you hear a little bit of a pop coming from the exhaust. That is just so encouraging, and this is a proper engagement-oriented motorcycle. Yes, you do not have a slip and assist clutch, which I think should have been there given its price point, but generally speaking, I've been stuck in traffic with this bike a couple of times and I've not really minded that as much. It is not the heaviest clutch in the business. Despite how small and agile the Guerrilla 450 might look in pictures and in videos, when you ride it, it's actually a bit of a revelation that it is not that easy to maneuver, and this is something which I was not expecting from this bike. You see the long-ish wheelbase and the way the handlebar is quite wide and doesn't turn a whole lot makes slow speed maneuvers a bit of a challenge, and this feels quite lazy then. Yes, when you're at speed, splitting lanes and all is quite easy. It does that with, good response timing, but when you're making, let's say, a slow speed U-turn, that's where it really hurts because you need to take quite a wide circle. So that is something you will struggle with. And also this does feel slightly heavy when you're pushing it in and out of your parking, because I've been doing that quite a lot, and it just feels that, considering how low this bike sits and how minimalistic it looks in terms of not having fairings and whatnot, it did feel a little heavier than it looks, and pushing it is a little bit of a task. I hate most modern LED headlights because they're not bright enough to actually be usable, but they're just bright enough that in the hands of other idiot riders and drivers, they're very annoying because they put it on high beam and just keep on riding even if it's not required. Anyways, coming to the LED headlamp here in the Guerrilla, well, it's quite decent, I would say. The RE headlamps are not really known for being great, but this one is quite decent for city use. There is some footage where you can see I've ridden in a dark road with the high beam and in the low beam, so you can see that for yourself. I feel at slower speed, at city speeds, this is decent. The high beam is not impressive at all. The low beam, I think, is much more usable. But if you're on the highway, you would definitely want a little bit more intensity, a little bit more throw from this headlamp, because there the speeds are higher and the visibility is even lower. One aspect where I was expecting a little more from the Guerrilla 450 was the mileage. I know that sounds funny with a bike like this, but hear me out. You see, there are two riding modes, Eco and Power. And in these two riding modes, yes, there is an appreciable difference in how the bike performs and how the throttle responds to your inputs. But when it comes to the mileage figures, I could really not eke out a whole lot more in the Eco mode. On average, I've been getting around 23 kilometers to a liter, and the maximum I could do in eco mode was 25.4, which is not a huge margin. I would have expected that combined with my generally, more efficient riding style and the eco mode, I would get closer to, let's say, the 30 mark. But that has not happened. Now, mind you, this is through normal peak city traffic at most times, because I use this heavily for going to office and coming back. So, peak office hour traffic. Also, since we are talking about ride modes, I would also like to mention that if you have a pillion with you, or if you're stuck in traffic, I would just say put it in eco mode, because the throttle response is much more gentler. It's not that jerky as it is in the power mode. In the power mode, that eagerness is turned up to the max, so it might get a little annoying that the bike keeps jumping at every single point, every single throttle input. So yes, if you want a more calmer ride, then put it in eco, but if you want to go all out, then go into the power mode by all means. Royal Enfield motorcycles have had the image of being a little hard to maintain, being a little bit of a headache for owners. And while the company has done a lot to remedy that situation, there are still instances where Royal Enfield motorcycles tend to have a little bit more maintenance issues than others. Now with the Guerrilla, I've actually not had any trouble whatsoever. And there have been periods where I've not touched the bike for an entire week. And when I came back, it started on the first go. No problems at all, no battery issues, no fueling issues at all. So those have been quite nice. The only small thing that I've encountered is that sometimes when the bike is parked outside, it was raining or the temperatures dropped, once you start it, for the initial 400-500 meters, you will give it a little bit of gas, but the bike won't really pick up as if it's not got fuel in it. But that sorts itself out pretty quickly. The all-digital instrument cluster seen in the Guerrilla 450 is shared with obviously the Himalayan, and I really like this instrument cluster. It has a lot of features and the visibility especially is great. I've used it in a variety of situations and I've always found that it is very easy to read all the information in here. And what I have also done is use the Google Maps feature, wherein you get a car-like Google Map representation on the instrument cluster, and that is so helpful for people like me who can't remember ways. And call me dumb, but I just can't follow the turn-by-turn navigation that most motorcycles have. This way, I can properly see where I have to turn, where I have to, keep going straight, and it's just much more easier, especially when you're riding. You can quickly glance down at the display and you have all the information. But I feel that RE could go a long way in making the entire navigation experience a whole lot more intuitive. You see, the navigation buttons are strewn all across the handlebar, and the joystick that you use for most of the operations, well, it's very frustrating to use. Approximately 70% of the times when I've tried to use this joystick, which you have to use for most of the operations, it'll go into a completely different direction than where I wanted it to go, because it's just so sensitive. And that is worse when you're riding the bike. And then you have this M button right here, which confusingly, if you press it once, will cycle between the two riding modes. But if you press and hold, then it will change the instrument cluster mode. So that is a little too much to remember. There is also a home button here which acts as a back button. So because everything is so spread out and there are so many things to do, so many other things, it just becomes quite hard to remember everything. And as a result, sometimes you just become lazy and you don't really use all the features in this extremely feature-rich instrument cluster just because you can't remember what button you have to use. Now let's talk about the comfort levels, and this is one more aspect where I was surprised by the Guerrilla 450, and in this case pleasantly surprised, because like I mentioned, this has a bit of an image of being a hooligan, but despite that, it's actually a very comfortable motorcycle in many aspects. Let me start off with the seat, which you can see is quite long, it's decently wide, and it has this nice scoop, which means once you get on it, it just holds your behind quite nicely. And I've spent quite a long time on the saddle and never had any issues in terms of comfort, in terms of pain, or in terms of feeling that the cushion is too stiff or too soft. It's just about right. And there is enough space to even have a pillion. Yes, two taller folks like myself will find these to be a little bit of a cramped quarters, but if one person is taller and one is more pocket friendly, then it's no problem at all. Yes, there is no backrest at the back to stop the pillion from rolling back, so you have to be a little bit careful of that. But in all other aspects, the foot pegs are there, they're nice and easy to reach, and the seat for the pillion is also not too high, so it means that your pillion is not sitting on a different floor as compared to you, the rider. So all of that make it quite a nice and practical motorcycle in a lot of sense. Then the suspension also, I was fully expecting to develop a bad backache after having ridden the bike, but that did not happen because yes, it's on the stiffer side, it has to be because it's a sporty motorcycle, but still there is a lot of absorption and a lot of the regular road undulations that come your way, you won't really mind them as much. And to get here as well, I've had to go through a lot of bad road and it's not been a big problem as such. So that way the suspension really does a good job of being quite absorbent. And of course, when you are on smooth tarmac and you see that very nice long winding clover leaf, you'll have a lot of fun over there as well. Does this bike grab attention? It surely does, especially if you have it in this loud yellow color with the black contrast. It just begs for attention. A number of people in my office have asked me about this bike because it looks just so good parked in the parking area. Even my barber once asked me about what bike this was and he was quite impressed. Gave me a good haircut that day also. So that is good. But if I were to buy this motorcycle, I would actually go for a bit more of a subtle color because that's just my preference. There is a very nice white and blue color option which I really like, and if I were to buy it, I would actually go for that because that also looks really nice and is not as loud as this one. What also helps the good looks of the Guerrilla 450 is this fat 160 section 17-inch rear tire. From the back, it looks like a proper big displacement motorcycle because of that. And you can see right now it has a lot of mud on it and even on the mud guard. So I would like to talk about two things. One, not so great, which is that this mud flap really doesn't do much. So I was riding and oftentimes my bag or my back will have the same splashes because the spray is such that it comes onto the rider. So that is something you have to be careful if you are riding in monsoon or on a wet patch off road. But in terms of grip, this tire is pretty solid. Of course, it's not an off-road machine, but if you're out on the road, it's pouring heavily and the tarmac is super wet, you will still not have any issues with the grip. So that is really good to see. And even if you find a little bit of mud here and there on the road, if you're being gentle, if you're being sensible about it, this bike will have no problem. It does not come with traction control, which again, I really do not mind because if you are a sensible rider, that is not something that you would need in this bike. This has dual channel ABS and that is all that you need. I have always been of the opinion that if you are considering the Guerrilla 450, then there is actually a better Royal Enfield that you could pick. The Himalayan, it's much more of a versatile package than this one and for not a whole lot more. Has that perception changed after my time with the Guerrilla? Well, sadly no. I still think that the Himalayan is a much better package. It is much more suited for everyday riding as well. But what has changed is that I no longer think of the Guerrilla as a one-dimensional machine. It has depth to it, it has more qualities, it has definitely got more comfort than I gave it credit for, and it is a super fun machine, definitely more fun than the Himalayan on the road in terms of how engaging it is. So if you are someone who's maybe intimidated by the bigger proportions, then maybe you would like to go for the Guerrilla. But for me, my heart, well, it still resides with its taller sibling.